They say cruelty has a price. In 1856, one mistress would soon learn it the hard way. The sun hung low over the sprawling plantation. Birds fell silent as shadows crept across the fields. A mansion loomed on the hill, white walls glinting in the fading light. Inside, a woman laughed, not the soft laugh of joy, a cruel, sharp laugh, the kind that made the walls shiver. Her name was Madeline Ashcroft, beautiful, wealthy, feared. Her word was law, her laughter deadly. Below her, the enslaved labored, sweat poured, hands cracked, bodies ached. But one woman caught Madeline's cruel eye. Her name was Leela, small, quiet, but with eyes that could pierce the heart. Ailing from disease, she moved slower each day, yet she carried herself with dignity. Even Madeline noticed and hated it. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, Leela fell while fetching water, her body weak, trembling. Madeline approached. A twisted smile spread across her face. "Pathetic," she hissed. "You think you deserve mercy?" The servants froze. They had seen this before. Madeline's cruelty knew no bounds. She laughed, a sound sharp enough to cut skin, a laugh that echoed through the halls. Leela coughed, blood stained her lips, yet Madeline laughed louder. But something flickered in the room. A shadow moved where no shadow should be. A chill swept the air. The candles flickered violently. Madeline paused. She frowned, ignored it. Leela gasped, a weak plea slipping from her lips. No one heard her. No one dared. Night fell. The plantation was quiet, too quiet. Madeline slept in her grand chamber, but sleep did not come easy. Dreams twisted in shadows. A voice whispered, soft, cold, unforgiving. "Mercy, you have none." Morning arrived. The sun barely touched the halls before servants whispered of odd happenings. Glass rattled without wind. Footsteps echoed in empty halls. Madeline frowned. Her laugh that once cut like a blade faltered. Outside, the field seemed darker. Even the wind carried a warning. Something had shifted. Madeline felt it, though she could not name it. A curse. That was the word whispered among the fearful servants. But who could curse a woman so powerful? Madeline would soon learn. Some acts of cruelty summon retribution far greater than fear. And Leela was dying. Yet even in her weakness, the fire in her eyes burned, a fire that would not be quenched. The plantation held its breath. The mistress laughed, but the laughter had changed. It was no longer just cruel, it carried fear. And the story was only beginning. If you're captivated by this story, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to uncover what happens next in this haunting tale. They say the darkest deeds always find a way back. For Madeline Ashcroft, the return had already begun. The morning was heavy with silence. The air felt thick, almost alive. Servants whispered in corners, eyes darting nervously. Madeline descended the staircase, expecting obedience. Instead, she found the house different. Doors creaked open on their own. Windows rattled, though no wind blew. A shadow passed across the hallway. Madeline's heart skipped. She laughed, a bitter, forced laugh. "Foolish imagination," she muttered, but even she did not believe it. Outside, the fields seemed darker. Crows circled above. They cawed incessantly, as if mocking her. The crops, once vibrant, drooped under the sun. And then it began. Small things at first. Her silverware disappeared. A servant claimed to see figures moving in empty rooms. Madeline dismissed them. She had to. No one could see her as weak. But night brought no relief. Footsteps echoed through the mansion. Her bedroom door creaked open slowly. Candles blew out, though the room was still. She felt a hand, a ghostly touch on her shoulder. She spun. Nothing, just shadows. Yet she could feel it. Lila's eyes, burning, watching, waiting. The rumors among the staff grew. A curse whispered behind closed doors. Madeline laughed to herself. A curse from a dying slave? Ridiculous! Yet every night the same thing happened. The laughter that once terrified others now made her shiver. Objects moved. Unseen forces whispered threats. Even the air seemed to thicken when she entered a room. Madeline's pride faltered. Her beauty, her power, her wealth could not shield her. She tried to command it away. She tried to punish those who whispered, but the strange events only grew stronger. One night, alone in the grand hall, she froze. A shadow appeared before her, a faint outline of a woman, the eyes fierce, merciless. Madeline's throat went dry, her laughter caught in her chest. "Mercy," the shadow whispered, not a plea, a warning. Madeline trembled. She tried to run, but the doors slammed shut. The mansion was alive, alive with revenge, alive with the power of a woman she had mocked while dying. The servants dared not enter the hall. They whispered prayers under their breath. Even the bravest were afraid. Madeline realized too late that cruelty carries a price, and the curse had chosen her. If you're shivering with suspense, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to see how Madeline faces the first true horrors of Lila's curse. No one laughs at death without paying the price. For Madeline, that price arrived, fast and merciless. The night was thick with shadows. Candles flickered as if whispering warnings. Madeline paced the grand hall, heart pounding. Her pride told her it was imagination. Her body screamed otherwise. A vase toppled from the mantel. Shattered glass cut her feet, but she barely felt it. A cold wind curled around her throat. She gasped. The voice came again. "Mercy, you denied it." She spun. Nothing. Only shadows twisting in the candlelight. Yet the feeling of eyes, relentless, never left. The servants whispered outside her door. "Something is wrong with Mistress," one muttered. Madeline's laugh had lost its edge. It was brittle, shaky. That night she slept, or tried to. Dreams invaded her mind. Lila appeared, alive, fierce, glowing with a pale, unearthly light. Her lips moved, words of warning, not plea. Madeline awoke in a sweat. By morning, the first sign appeared. Her prized horses refused her command. They kicked, snorted, and bolted into the fields. Even the overseer couldn't control them. Madeline's face twisted with disbelief. Next, her silverware turned to rust. Her gowns tore in strange ways. No servant dared explain. Fear clamped their mouths shut. And then, the mirror. She looked into it, expecting herself, but she saw a face twisted with pain. Her own eyes reflected fear, terror, shame. And behind her, just for a heartbeat, a shadow of Lila. Madeline screamed. The sound echoed through the empty halls. The servants trembled outside. They could hear the laughter, hers, breaking into sobs. Even the neighbors whispered of dark happenings. Madeline's reputation feared no more. Her power challenged by a dying slave's revenge. The plantation itself seemed alive. The walls whispered. The floors groaned. Every step she took was met with resistance, unseen yet unyielding. She realized this was not just fear. This was punishment, and it would not end. The mistress who once laughed at death now trembled before life. If you want to see how the curse drags Madeline deeper into terror, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. The nightmare is only beginning. Some curses don't whisper, they roar, and Madeline was about to hear it. The plantation groaned under the weight of shadows. Windows slammed open, then shut on their own. The wind carried whispers that no one could understand. Servants cowered in corners. Even the overseer avoided the mansion at night. Madeline walked the halls. Her skirts rustled like dead leaves. Every step felt heavier than the last. She could hear it. Laughter. Not hers. A soft, bitter laugh that made her blood run cold. In the kitchen, pots shook violently. Water spilled, flames flickered, dishes clattered. The cook ran outside, pale as death, mumbling prayers. Madeline's prized garden, once vibrant, withered overnight. Flowers blackened, fruit rotted on the vine. Even the birds had fled. That evening, in her bedroom, the mirror changed again. She saw her reflection, yes, but also another figure behind her. A woman, small, frail, glowing with a pale, relentless light, eyes burning with the fire of wronged justice. Madeline's scream tore through the mansion. She spun. Nothing. Yet the feeling of being watched, hunted, never left. Servants whispered among themselves. "The mistress, she's cursed," one said. "By the dying girl," another added. Fear settled in the air like fog. Madeline tried to flee, but the hallways twisted, rooms shifted. She ran in circles, chasing doors that vanished before she could reach them. The nights grew longer. Sleep refused her. Dreams were filled with shadows and whispers. Every face she knew twisted in mockery. Even her own hands seemed alien. Then came the animals. Her hounds refused to obey. The horses stamped and neighed, as if sensing something she could not. A raven perched on the balcony, cawing endlessly, its gaze locked on her. Madeline finally understood. This was no random haunting. This was vengeance. From a woman she had mocked while dying. A curse that would not rest until she learned mercy. Her laughter, once so sharp, now broke into sobs. The mansion itself seemed alive, waiting, watching, judging. If you're on the edge of your seat, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. The curse is only growing stronger, and the next will shake the plantation to its core. When a curse spreads, it doesn't stop at one victim. Madeline was about to learn that the innocent pay too. The morning was grim. Mist hung low over the fields. Even the sun seemed afraid to rise. Servants whispered in terror. Families huddled in corners. The mansion's walls groaned like an ancient beast. Madeline tried to maintain control. She wore her finest gowns. She spoke with authority, but her voice trembled, betraying her fear. Her younger brother, Thomas, entered the hall. "Madeline, what's happening here?" Even he looked pale. The horses refused him too. The dogs growled at him, then ran off. Madeline's father fell ill suddenly. Doctors could find no cause. His body shook with fevers that no medicine could touch. Madeline's wealth and status could not save him. The servants began to vanish, not permanently, but mysteriously. Hours, sometimes days at a time, returning pale, silent, eyes wide with unspoken horror. They spoke of whispers in empty corridors, figures gliding through walls, and a woman, small, frail, yet terrifyingly powerful. Madeline tried to dismiss it. She scolded the servants. She demanded obedience. But even her most loyal aides faltered. Night came heavier than ever. Candles burned low. The mansion creaked. Madeline's reflection in the mirror no longer resembled her. Her eyes darkened, hollow, and behind her, Lila's shadow lingered. Doors slammed, windows shattered. A soft, bitter laugh filled the halls. This time, it wasn't alone. Family portraits fell, smashing glass and wood. Even the ancient chandeliers swung violently, as if alive. Madeline's brother tried to intervene. A sudden force threw him across the room. He hit the wall and groaned in pain. The mansion's power, now indiscriminate. It punished all who were connected to her cruelty. Madeline's arrogance cracked. Her control, once absolute, was gone. Even wealth could not shield her family from the wrath she had invoked. The servants whispered among themselves, "Death may have been spared, but vengeance, it comes for all." Madeline's face twisted with fear. The curse was no longer just hers. It had grown, stronger. Her laughter died completely. Tears replaced it, and for the first time, she prayed. If you want to see how the curse pushes Madeline to the edge and tests her darkest fears, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. The nightmare is far from over. When cruelty meets a curse, the body pays the price. For Madeline, the torment had just begun. Night fell like a shroud over the mansion. Candles flickered, struggling against shadows that moved without wind. Madeline paced her chambers, restless, terrified. Her hands shook. Aches crawled through her body. A sudden sharp pain shot through her chest. She gasped. Her reflection twisted further. Her skin pale, almost gray, eyes hollow. And behind her, Leela's shadow lingered, smiling silently. She screamed. The walls echoed her terror. No servant dared enter. Sleep refused her. Every attempt ended in nightmares. Visions of Leela, of the dying slave, burned her mind. Each dream more vivid, more terrifying. Then came the first public sign. At breakfast, she lifted a teacup. It slipped from her hands, shattering on the floor. Her hands betraying her, trembling violently, refusing to obey. Servants whispered, eyes wide with fear. Even her family began to doubt her strength. Madeline fled to her chambers, locked doors, windows bolted. Yet she felt it, the presence following. Cold fingers brushing her skin, a whisper in her ear, "Mercy, still not given." The pain spread, limbs ached, her voice cracked when she tried to call for help. Even breathing felt heavy, her laughter gone completely. Outside, the fields darkened unnaturally. Animals shrank from her approach. The wind carried soft whispers of revenge. Every step she took was met with resistance. The world itself seemed against her. Madeline realized no wealth, no power, no threat could undo this. The curse was relentless. Leela's spirit, her vengeance, unstoppable. That night, she fell to her knees. Tears streamed down her face. For the first time, she feared not just herself, but death. The mansion sighed around her. A soft laugh echoed, not cruel, not sharp, but patient, waiting, watching, judging. Madeline's body, mind, and soul were now bound to a reckoning she could not escape. The curse was no longer a warning. It was reality. If you want to see how Madeline's world unravels completely and the curse tightens its grip, like, comment, and subscribe. The nightmare has only just begun. Fear has a way of spreading, and Madeline was about to watch it consume everyone around her. The mansion was alive. Every corner groaned. Every floorboard whispered secrets. Servants avoided it like a plague. Madeline paced endlessly, her body weak, trembling, her mind a storm of panic. She could feel it, Leela's eyes, watching, judging, waiting. The servants began to vanish for hours, returning pale, silent, unable to speak of what they saw. Doors slammed behind them, windows rattled, shadows moved across walls with no source of light. Her brother, Thomas, tried to confront her. "Madeline, something unnatural is happening." But the moment he spoke, a force slammed him into the wall. Groaning, he collapsed. The mansion's power, merciless. Madeline's father's illness worsened. Fevers burned his body. Doctors could do nothing. Even the strongest remedies failed. Outside, animals shied away from her approach. The horses kicked and neighed wildly. Dogs growled at her, refusing to obey. A raven perched on the balcony, its black eyes locked on her, cawing endlessly as if mocking her. Madeline realized the curse was no longer limited to her. It spread through her family, her home, her very life. Every connection she had contaminated by her cruelty. She tried to flee to the chapel, prayers, blessings, nothing worked. The doors twisted before her eyes. Rooms vanished and reappeared in strange forms. The mansion itself was a trap. That night, she stood alone in the grand hall. The shadows moved faster, whispers grew louder, a soft, bitter laughter echoed, Leela's, the dying slave's revenge, now unstoppable. Madeline dropped to her knees. Her cries tore through the mansion. "No, mercy! I beg for mercy!" But the shadows only swirled around her, the curse unyielding. The servants whispered among themselves, "The mistress, she cannot escape this." Even the bravest trembled. The mansion, alive with vengeance, would not relent. Madeline's pride shattered, her wealth, beauty, and power meaningless against the wrath she had invoked. The curse had grown, stronger, unstoppable. If you want to see how the curse drags Madeline to the brink of insanity and horror, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. The end of her nightmare is coming, but the terror is far from over. Some lessons can't be learned until everything you love is in danger. Madeline was about to face hers. Madeline ran through the mansion. Her skirts tore on the sharp edges of broken furniture. The walls twisted, hallways stretched into impossible lengths. Every step brought a new horror. She tried candles, prayers, blessings, all meaningless. Objects flew across rooms. Chairs toppled. The chandelier swung violently, threatening to crush everything beneath. Even the portraits of her ancestors shivered on the walls. Her family trembled in fear. Her father's fever burned hotter. Her brother's bruises grew deeper. Servants whispered of shadows moving through walls. No one dared speak for fear of attracting the curse's wrath. Madeline's reflection in the mirror no longer resembled her. Her eyes hollow, cheeks sunken, lips pale. And behind her, Leela's figure lingered, watching, waiting, silent but terrifying. Desperate, Madeline begged the shadows, "I will change. I will show mercy." Her voice broke, tears streaming. The mansion groaned. A cold wind swept the hall. Doors slammed shut. Still, the curse did not relent. The mansion itself seemed to pulse with revenge. Every creak, every whisper, a reminder. Her cruelty had summoned a force beyond her control. Outside, the animals cowered. The horses refused the stables. Dogs howled into the night. Even the crows circled endlessly, cawing in chorus. Madeline realized a terrifying truth. No wealth, no status, no charm could undo what she had done. Leela's spirit, her vengeance, was relentless. It had taken the house, her family, her body, and now her mind. Her laughter had long since disappeared. All that remained was terror, and the bitter realization she had underestimated a dying slave. The shadows closed in. The mansion held its breath. Madeline, for the first time, truly understood the power of cruelty. If your heart is racing, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. The curse is reaching its final terrifying climax, and nothing will ever be the same. Some vengeance cannot be avoided. Madeline was about to face the full fury of a curse she thought she could escape. The mansion shook violently. Walls groaned, floors split, doors slammed with the force of a storm. Madeline stumbled through the chaos, heart hammering. Her family cowered in fear. Servants trembled, frozen in place. The shadows converged. Whispers filled every corner, rising to a deafening roar. Lila's figure appeared, more real than ever. Eyes blazing, face pale, every ounce of her suffering radiating fury. Madeline fell to her knees. "Mercy! I beg you, please!" Her voice cracked, echoing through the haunted halls. Objects flew, chairs shattered, a chandelier crashed to the floor mere inches from her. The mansion itself seemed to reach for her, walls bending, ceilings lowering. Her body shook uncontrollably. Pain ripped through her chest. Her reflection in the broken mirror screamed back at her. Her beauty, her wealth, her status, all meaningless now. The whispers became a chant. Mercy, never given, now received. Madeline's vision blurred. Tears streamed down her face. The curse was complete. Her father groaned in fevered sleep. Her brother clutched his bruised side. Even the servants were paralyzed, staring at the terrifying spectacle. Then, silence. A breath of calm in the chaos. Madeline's body collapsed, her mind shattered. Lila's figure hovered, eyes softening. Not a word, not a gesture, but the message was clear. The curse had done its work. Madeline's cruelty had been repaid. Her laughter was gone, her pride destroyed, her fear eternal. The mansion quieted. The shadows retreated. The servants whispered prayers of relief. The field seemed lighter, almost alive again. Madeline remained on the floor, her eyes empty, her body frail, and for the first time she understood the cost of cruelty. If this chilling tale of vengeance and justice has gripped you, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. The story concludes in the next, and the final twist will shock you. Every curse has an end, but its lesson lasts forever. Madeline was about to learn hers. The morning light was weak, struggling through thick mist. The mansion stood quiet, but alive with the echoes of the nights before. Shattered glass glittered like dark stars on the floor. The walls groaned one last time. Madeline lay on the floor, her body frail, trembling. Her eyes stared blankly, haunted by visions she could never forget. Her beauty, her wealth, her pride, all gone. Even her voice was gone, replaced by ragged breaths of fear. The servants moved cautiously. No one dared speak first. The mansion felt different, lighter, almost forgiving, but the memory of the curse lingered like smoke. Outside, the field slowly recovered. Flowers bloomed, timid but alive. Animals cautiously returned. Even the birds sang softly, as if mourning the horror that had passed. And then Lila appeared, not as a shadow, not as a whisper, but as a pale, faint light hovering in the distance. Her eyes fierce but calm, her suffering honored. She looked at Madeline. No words passed, no threats, just a gaze heavy with judgment. Madeline's trembling hands reached out. Too late. The message was clear. Her cruelty had been repaid. Her arrogance had crumbled. And mercy, something she never gave, had found her own form in fear and suffering. The mansion seemed to exhale. The shadows faded. The chill lifted, but the lesson remained. Madeline tried to rise, her legs weak, her body failing. She stumbled, falling again. Even now, the memory of Leela's final gaze haunted her. She knew she would never laugh as she once did, never mock another soul. The servants whispered quietly among themselves. They spoke of justice, of vengeance, of the power of the wronged. The story of Leela, the dying slave, would be remembered forever. Madeline's family slowly recovered, but the mansion, haunted by its past, never fully healed. Even the wind carried faint whispers of the curse to this day, and every corner of the plantation reminded all who lived there that cruelty never goes unanswered. Madeline finally understood. The laughter that once defined her, replaced by tears, fear, and regret. Her life spared, only as a reminder. And Leela, though gone, left a legacy no power could erase. The plantation returned to quiet life, but the shadow of the curse lingered, a warning to all who dared to mock the suffering of others. Madeline would never forget. The mansion would never forget, and history would whisper her tale for centuries.